We're Hasani and Danielle Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani, and it's just me today. Hope that's okay with you. But I'm excited to be able to have a conversation with you. And so wherever you're dialing in from around the world, let us know who you are, where you're from, what city, what state, what country. It's important to us because we love connecting with people all across this planet, because this is the place where people come every single morning to hang out, to talk about love and life and relationships, to give you your daily dose for the day. So whether you're dating, in a committed courtship, engaged, married, separated, divorced, we have a place for you and a conversation that may be helpful. Listen, we're talking today about, should I confront my husband's mistress? Now, let's just say you're in a relationship and it's the other way around. Maybe your wife was unfaithful. Should you confront your wife's affair partner? That's what we're talking about. This is a common issue. We're going to get into it. But listen, before we do, we want to make a couple quick announcements. Last Chance Weekend, we're excited about it. As you know, it's always the second weekend of the month. So this year, it's going to be April the 8th through the 9th. Make sure you take an opportunity and register for that. We also have an option to do it virtually as well. We'll start making announcements for that. That will be on the 4th weekend of the month. The fact is, there are some people who live in other countries. We had a call from Canada today, and I think there may still be border issues where they can't come into the country. I'm not sure. Nonetheless, they're like, oh my God, you have a virtual option? We do. Actually, when we started doing Last Chance Weekends, it was right in the heart of the pandemic, and they were all virtual. And so they went extremely well. So that option is available as well. So make sure you reach out. We're excited for Danielle because her program, Unearthed, it actually starts tomorrow. This is the second group of women who are diving into this program. It's going to be incredible. I'm so excited for them and what they're going to get. And for those who have been in it for the last 12 weeks, for those who have been in Foundry for the last 12 weeks, this is the final week, but what an amazing experience it has been serving you all and having the opportunity to pour in and help see transformation and purification take place in your lives. And the hope and prayer is that it extends into your relationship. We say this all the time, that the key to your marital restoration is your personal transformation. And though we absolutely do believe in couples coming together to work on their relationship, you have to have space and time, and sometimes get in your own silo, your own community, to work on yourself. There's accountability. You're being called up, not out, and you're really, taking things out, replacing it with stuff that you need in order to show up right in the home. And so it's served in such a tremendous way. So we're glad to see the transformation. And for those of you who have not joined, we're definitely going to be sharing with you some testimonials of those who have been in it and what impact it's made on their lives. All right. Let's get into this conversation. Should I confront my husband's mistress? Or if you're in the shoes on the other foot, should I confront my husband's or my wife's affair partner? So here's a quick story. There was a female who was minding her business. She was at home enjoying her day, and she gets a phone call. She picks up the phone, hello. And someone, a voice on the other side, is ripping into her, yelling and screaming and fussing and fighting and spitting and doing all types of things. Emotionally irate. And she was just like, what is this? Who is this? And all she heard were accusations. She was called every name in the book. She was told what she wasn't, and she was given strict warnings to leave her husband alone. And so the girl is just like, what are you talking about? I think you have the wrong number. I'm the wrong one. And because she was so heated and she didn't want to hear anything that this woman had to say, she just doubled down and went even harder in the paint. Now, what kept this woman on the phone? I have no clue, because most people would just hang up. But she just went in and went in and went in. And so she became furious and began to blast this other woman out and say, you don't know what you're talking about. If you only, why you contacting me? What you need to be doing is dealing with your spouse. And so she hung up. She called back about 2 minutes later. She apologized and realized that she did, in fact, call the wrong number. She apologized for her actions and how she showed up. Then the other woman had a different approach. They stayed on for a while. She began to show empathy and compassion for this other broken woman's situation. And they began to talk through some issues and realized that, is it really worth it contacting the affair partner? Is it really worth it? How will it serve you? And so that's the conversation we want to have today. And interestingly enough, when we work with many couples, that's a question that is asked. Should I? Because I'm tempted to, I desire to, or truth be told, many have come to us after these conversations have already happened. And so we want to talk about it today. I want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think it is wise to do? What would be the pros and the cons of doing such? We've seen all types of scenarios play itself out, but we want to get into the conversation. Here's the reality. If you do this, it may get insulting. See, you think that the power and control is on your part and in your hands, and you have an agenda and you have an approach to do some damage, because the hurt that you feel, you want to project it towards this home wrecker, this person who must know what the situation is and what's going on. But oftentimes in those conversations, you can't control what their response is, right? So you're asking questions, not sure what the answer is going to be. And oftentimes we've seen where the affair partner becomes very disrespectful and will add salt to a wound and will make you feel worse after that call than how you felt prior to the call, for a variety of different reasons. Either they're sharing with you things that you may not really want to know. We'll get there in a second. But they're insulting you. They're demeaning you. They're impacting your self-esteem and your self-worth. They're reinforcing the insecurities that you already feel because your partner stepped out in the first place. They're showing themselves to be the choice, right? The prize. And obviously you must be sloppy seconds. Why are we having this conversation? And it becomes a very hurtful and demeaning conversation at the end in many respects. Some don't come humble. Some come even more arrogant than you at that moment, more angry, more frustrated, more enraged. And so it becomes this back and forth war that takes place that really doesn't serve you. Okay, here's another point. You might find out something that may shock you. So for instance, a lot of times when there's an affair and you're trying to seek answers from your spouse, and you're getting piecemeal information, you're getting the trickled truth, and one of the things you're tempted to find out is the other side of the story. I want the details, I want the facts, I want to know how deep it was. And so it may be a situation where, you know what, your spouse was talking about you, revealing things about you, in their hurt and broken place, in their space of frustration, they're releasing things. And now what happens is that mistress or that affair partner has all this intel on you. And so when you call to find out what was really going on, you hear all the hurtful things that have been said about you. And it adds more salt to an existing wound. And so then the question would be, was it worth it in the first place to even have this conversation? Is it helping me heal, or is it just going to hurt, harm, or hinder? And so oftentimes this obsessiveness to want to know all of the details and all of the facts and all of what has happened. And the question is, well, why do we need to know every such thing? Some things are helpful, some things are hurtful, and you got to keep in mind when a person's in an affair, right? It's wrong. There's nothing right about it. And 9 times out of 10, every interaction, every conversation, everything engaged with that particular person is wrong. It's just wrong on top of wrong on top of wrong. So in that space, in that dark place, they probably have said and done things that they typically would not do if they were in their right mind and if their heart was right. So to dig and pry, oftentimes it just leads to more hurt and pain. And so the question is, should you approach them? Well, what would be your purpose? What is the benefit of it all? Here's another point, guys. I think this is important. As I said, it may make things worse. So here you are, you think you know all you need to know, and then a couple months in, you just have this curiosity to want to find out more, to get the other side, because there's a marriage story, but then there's an affair story, and oftentimes the affair story lives in the shadows of the marriage. And so you want to know that person's perspective, but oftentimes that perspective that you're getting really shocks you. It's almost like another D-Day all over again. And so you got to wonder, is this something that I really want to hear? Is this going to take our relationship forward? Is it going to help us move forward, or is it just going to set us back several steps? And so, guys, we're talking about, should you approach your spouse's mistress or affair partner? You're watching the Couples Academy show. Stay tuned. We got a few more points we want to consider. Be right back.
Couples Academy is committed to serving couples around the world by reaching beyond cultural lines and language barriers. We are proud to announce that we now serve the Spanish-speaking community. So whether you're here in the United States or abroad, Couples Academy has a place for you.
Couples Academy se compromete a servir parejas de todo el mundo, superando las fronteras culturales y las barreras del idioma. Ahora, estamos orgullosos de anunciar que servimos a la comunidad de habla hispana. Entonces, ya sea que estés aquí en los Estados Unidos o en el extranjero, Couples Academy está aquí para servirle.
All right, we're back. We're talking about what? We're talking about, should I confront my spouse's mistress or my husband's, my mistress, affair partner, depending upon what gender your spouse is. That's what we're talking about, guys. And the reality is, you may not want to do that. And listen, I'm going to read through some of these comments, but before we get started, listen, good morning to Marsh Hunt, Congo, Gonzalez, Ralph, Rhoda, Miss Jules, Corey, Dee, Nina, Shalise, Malik, Gonzalez, Treetop Palmer, Jackie, Andrea, Daryl, the list goes on and on. Gonzalez, of course, Deblin, Malik. Listen, and all of you who are Instagram, we appreciate you. We know that you're there. We see you, and glad that you are part of the conversation. There's a couple comments that came in. I definitely want to address it. Nope. There was one, it was just like, oh, here we go. Malik says, I think it was, simple answer, no. It can be a very dangerous thing to do, period. I mean, it's crazy because in the last couple of days, I've seen so many videos. I don't know if my phone is listening to my conversations. You know how social media can do that. 1 minute, you talking about socks. Like, hey, did you pick the socks up off the floor? And then you go on Facebook and you see ads for socks. Like, how did that, what? And so because we're in conversations about affairs, I'm seeing all of these videos pop up of people confronting their spouse with their affair partner in public places. And yes, it can be very dangerous, and fights are breaking out and cops are being called, and it's just an embarrassing, humiliating situation. There's a correct approach to doing things for your own safety, for your own good, and that certainly isn't one of them. Nina says, I think it's not good. I tried to run my husband over with a car. I was not thinking. See, this is, wow. So was that a result of reaching out to the affair partner, and hearing from the affair partner really made you that heated that you just went over the top and attempted to run your husband over with a car? Now think about it. This is the problem, because you can't determine how you're going to react and respond in the heat of the moment. And oftentimes the affair partner has a way of dealing with you that can infuriate you. And once you get to that point, because you have that internal anger meter, once it goes into the red, you wind up doing things that you never thought you would ever do. And the next thing you know, you're behind bars and your life is destroyed because of a situation that you didn't know how to properly manage. We've seen all types of scenarios. Listen, guys, we've been around for a long time. I remember there was this one scenario where the husband did speak to the affair partner, and based upon that conversation, he came home, he got his gun. I mean, listen, guys, you have to be very mindful about your approach to things. And this is why you can't do things on your own, because when you attempt to do things on your own, even if you have the best of intentions, things can oftentimes go wrong. And so when you're in your emotions, you need somebody with head to balance your heart, right? Because you're driven by your emotions and you're driven by how you feel. And oftentimes that could wind up getting you in significant trouble. Here's a comment from Melissa. Good morning. I've called and they will lie. You already feel mistrust, and if wanting to move forward, hearing lies will cause confusion, ask yourself, will it matter? And I think that's an excellent point, because that's one of the points that we were actually going to go to, and that point is affair partners can lie. Remember, either A, they're being lied to, so even if they're speaking in truth from their perspective, it's a lie because they have been lied to, or they are going to lie because there's oftentimes an agenda that they have. And so we've seen where people have just said all types of outlandish things because their objective is to hurt, harm, and hinder. They don't care nothing about you. They don't care nothing about your relationship. Obviously, your spouse didn't care about the relationship, and they will go in and make matters significantly worse. We've seen people who have created scenarios that were so far from the truth, but because you hear what they say and you take it as gospel, the assumption is, because I can't get the truth out of my spouse, I'm going to find the truth. I'm going to get it from this affair partner. But the reality is, an affair in itself is a lie. An affair in itself is deception. An affair in itself is secrecy, and it's when two people are being clandestine and they're given a false impression, and there's deception. And so why would they now flip a switch and all of a sudden become 100% honest when it comes to you? And so, yes, I mean, even when there was evidence of a lie, it was still believed or held on to or used as a tool in the relationship as you go back and forth with your spouse. So you can't take what that affair partner says as gospel and truth. You just don't know. And so it goes back to the question, how does this actually serve you? What is the purpose? What is the meaning? What are you attempting to gain from this particular experience? Jackie says, no good, just causes more drama. Your problem is with your spouse. And I can't emphasize that enough. And so oftentimes I'm watching all these movies and you find out, my spouse was unfaithful. And the first thing you see a spouse do is jump over the bed, run across the room, and want to attack the affair partner. And I'm like, who does this? Obviously, a lot of people do this. And I'm like, that would be the last person that I would attack. I mean, not that I'm going to attack, but if I was going to attack, it would be my spouse. Because that affair partner has no allegiance to me. That affair partner owes me absolutely nothing. My spouse does. And so for me to pop off and to go in on someone else, I just don't understand. I just never really understood that. Your problem is with your spouse. You understand? Now, I understand double betrayal when the affair partner happens to be someone you do have a relationship with. That's a different situation. So we've seen it's with a sibling. It's with a parent. It's with a friend. It's with a coworker. It's with someone that you've known for 20, 30 years. So it's a double betrayal. So I get that. But at the end of the day, you said I do to a particular person. You had vows with a particular person. These are the things that you want to be mindful of when you're considering, is it worth approaching the affair partner? Listen, we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Let's continue to have the conversation. I want to see these comments. Have them come in. Would you do it? And if you wouldn't do it, why? Would you do it? And if you would, why? We want to hear from you. Be right back.
Couples Academy is expanding its team to meet the growing demand of people in need of help around the world. So if you're a trained, licensed, or certified expert in marriage enrichment, infidelity recovery, sex therapy, life coaching, cognitive behavioral therapy, divorce mediation, financial coaching, or family therapy, contact us today.
All right, guys, we're back. We're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're having this conversation about, should I approach the affair partner? We got a couple comments that are coming in. I think it's just, you really have to be careful when you do it. Check your motive. Check your heart. Why are you doing it? Kind of brings us to another point here about how vengeance doesn't work. It just doesn't work. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And oftentimes we have an attempt to attack and really go in and create physical harm. We want to publicly humiliate. We want to embarrass. I've seen all types of crazy scenarios when it comes to, I'm going to expose her, or I'm going to expose him. I'm going to destroy their world. And so the reality is, you may think that that may serve you and make you feel better, but it just further complicates the whole situation. And we've seen in so many situations where now it's worse, because as I'm attacking, if you will, the affair partner, now it seems like my spouse is now protecting and supporting and coming to the aid of the affair partner. So now you feel betrayed and abandoned all over again. It's just a scenario that typically doesn't work. Now, I will say that this is the general rule. There are always exceptions to that rule, and here's a great one. Lisa says, I've approached her. It was something that both my husband and I knew. Very respectful conversation. I even prayed for her despite her lying about everything. I've tried to have all three of us, husband, me, and other woman, to talk. It did not happen. Wow. Kudos to you for being able to show up in a respectful way, and even though you were lied to, you prayed for her. Now that's a level of spiritual and emotional maturity that is phenomenal. Now I will say, I had a client who did reach out to their affair partner, had conversations, and get this: the spouse gave the affair partner a forgiveness letter. Yep. She basically said, I forgive you. Not just the spouse, but the affair partner. That was after much counseling. That was after some healing that took place. And so, in these particular cases, it was when they were approached. Usually in the discovery phase, when you first find out, it's the most volatile, emotionally volatile phase that exists. And so oftentimes people aren't in their right minds to be able to do something like that. It took a supernatural, power for her to be able to do what she did. And she truly released it. Helped her to become a better person because she didn't hold on to that pain. Here's another comment. I know someone who was shot by a wounded spouse because she was confronted not knowing the betrayed spouse had a gun. They got into a heated argument. The mistress died. Oh, my God. Whew, a tragic end. See, that is horrible. That just hurt me. in my soul to know that something like that happened. But this is what we're saying, guys. This stuff is real. This is real life or death stuff. Keenan, I really wanted to hurt my spouse's affair partner because he was disrespectful when I texted and asked him. I told him I had no issue because we separated, but he called me out of my name. See, this is what I'm saying. You just never know how that person's gonna respond. Some people just don't care. They don't care nothing about you. They don't care about your marriage and your situation. That it is what it is. Do you, man? And then you know, with men, oftentimes you get into this whole power thing and ego thing, and you know, it's just a bad scenario. Devlin says, wouldn't lower myself and would only deal with a lying husband. If he lies to you, she will lie to you also. Yep, that's a good point. Phil says, if the affair partner is married, do you let the spouse know? If the affair partner is married, do you let the spouse know? That's a very, 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 very good question. There's different approaches to it, man. I don't want to just give you a blanket answer. I have one. I don't want to give you an answer without putting it in the proper context, because what works in one situation may not work in another. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to motive and intent. Now, here's the deal. When we walk couples through how to end the affair with the proper messaging, oftentimes the apprehension is, well, if we send this letter out, or if we make this phone call, or if we contact them, you know, either A, I know for a fact that the spouse doesn't know, it could blow up their world, or B, you know, I don't know if they know. So I don't know if we're poking the bear. I don't know if we're making things worse. And so it's a delicate method that we take in those type of scenarios. And what we do is we dig a little bit deeper to find out more of the backstory to determine what the appropriate course of action should be. So I don't want to answer that question and just give you an easy yes or easy no, because really it's case by case. And this is why counseling is so important, to know how to properly navigate through particular situations to determine what the best course of action should be. I think, Jay says, I want the affair partner to feel the pain I'm feeling and my family. I get it, because you're in pain and you're like, you know what? My life is falling apart. I'm going to destroy everybody's life. In essence, you're probably not going that far, but I get your point. I understand how and why you could feel that particular way. And see, this is why, once again, not to sound redundant, counseling is so important, because sometimes you need people to, talk you off the ledge. Because what happens is, in rage and in anger and in pain, you're driven to do things that you typically would not do. And a moment of satisfaction could lead to a lifetime of pain and consequence. Sharon says, I would not attack the affair partner. I'm learning how to control my emotions, but not sure if I would actually be in effect at that time. She goes on to say, but I'm learning how to pray because I'm actually in the situation right now. Yeah, I definitely understand. And you want to be definitely prayerful. You don't want to operate in haste. You don't want to have a pop-off spirit. You don't want to make these decisions that may have a long-term impact. So we get that. We're praying for you. Monica says, I did. Definitely a respectful conversation as we talked woman to woman, especially since she's been the betrayed spouse. Yeah, okay. See, so here's a scenario where it worked in her favor. But, it's really, really a case by case. Treetop says the problem is with both of them, because when the other partner or person knows that the other person, when that other person knows that the person they are cheating with is a married individual and blocks you on social media and you don't even know who they are. Yeah. So many different scenarios, I tell you. Then Deanna says, at 43 years married, husband gave me herpes, admitted to adultery for 40 years ago. I still forgave, but gave boundaries. He never did them. He has totally avoided me now for almost a year. Why? Yep. That's something we can handle in another episode, but I get it. And this is a scenario that so many people find themselves in there. And so really it's all about that last word, why? Why? And so many people struggle to heal because they're trying to determine the why. And if they don't know the why, then it keeps them trapped in the pit of their pain. If the spouse who did it does not know the why, then who knows, possibly it can happen again. And so that's why you got to get to the root of the heart of the matter. Listen, guys, we're talking about today on this particular show, should I confront my husband's mistress or should I confront my wife's affair partner? I think the general consensus is may not be a good idea, though there have been times when it actually helped and served. Overwhelmingly, statistically, when you look at the majority of cases, it really does not. There's another way to get what it is that you need, to be healed, to be whole, to get the clarity, to get closure. And so, listen, reach out to us at couplesacademy.org. We would love to have a conversation with you and guide you through a process. Last Chance Weekend is coming up April 8th through the 10th. That is where you need to be. Let's make it happen, guys. Talk to you soon for another great episode. Take care.